Good morning. It's the start of a beautiful day. Or start your day right with a healthy dose of news, fun, and inspiration. Join us on VOP this morning for the latest news, trending topics, and uplifting stories to set your day on the right vibe. From news and current events to lifestyle and entertainment, you are covered. Showing from 7 to 9 a.m. Monday through Friday on VOP TV. VOP TV. Now you have more than a voice. From the views on the street,
we go to bed empty hunger,
to the blaring horns of a hustling city, the loudest voices of the common man got a medium to be heard.
This particular administration, they were coming unprepared.
It's not a bad thing to renovate the president's law.
Through top-notch programming, unbiased reportage of news, sports, business, entertainment, and cultural documentaries, Voice of the People 90.3 FM became a symbol for 21st century media. And now, a new baby is born. Voice of the People Television, VOP TV, youthful, full of vigor and penchant for excellence in the continent's media space, exposing the wrongs, applauding the rights, dissecting the news without fear or favor, through factual and accurate stories and contents.
Corruption kills three things and makes a society.
Representing the interests of the people and giving them a voice. Voice of the People TV is here to stay towards building a fair society. VOP TV, Voice of the People Television, truly a voice for the people. Catch up with the latest topics making the buzz, the stories that tick, the trends. Let's let you in on why they are trending. From politics, entertainment, business, lifestyle, and more. Analyzing the trending stories with top eyeballs. Hashtag on Voice of the People Television, giving you an insight to everything and everyone Nigeria is talking about. Showing on VOP TV, 10 p.m., Monday to Friday. Hashtag, if it's trending, we bring it on.
It's a beautiful Tuesday morning. Today is also the 22nd day in the month of October 2022, and it's another interesting edition of VOP This Morning on Voice of the People Television. I am Fina Okechukwu.
I like the way you call the name. I like the way you drag it. Oh, well, I'm Moses Humphrey, welcoming you on board, of course. And today we'll be touching on a few issues. One of them is on the growing insecurity in the Southeast. We'll touch on that one in the course of the program, and a whole lot of other issues as well.
I am Chukwuma Okoro. Good morning and thanks for joining us. Apart from the insecurity that pervades the nation, Nigerians are crying out over what they term extortion as President Tinubu proposes 5% tax on telecom and other services. Meanwhile, hardship has pushed down daily petrol consumption by 92% amid fuel price hike under this present administration.
Oh yes, oh yes. It's the reality. It's what we are faced with. Well, we'll touch on all of these and more, but do well to subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's Voice of the People TV on YouTube. That's how we appear. And on all the social media platforms, follow us. We are at VOP TV Live. All right, so let's get into a few things that trended yesterday. There are indications emerged on Monday that some of the ministers are in panic mode over the looming cabinet reshuffle. Well, you know, there have been talks about cabinet reshuffling for some time now. Well, do recall that Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Ononuga, recently hinted at the possible cabinet reshuffling, where those found not to be active and adding value to the renewed hope agenda would be shown the exits, would be shown the way out. Oh, well, when the president was a time this conversation came up, names and pictures were published on social media of those that might be, shown the exits, those that might be rejigged, ministries that might be, heads of ministries that might be rejigged and the rest of them. And the president also did say that the ministers should engage the media more, basically, let the people know what they are doing. And a whole lot of them have been doing that. A lot of them have granted more interviews in recent time. They've talked about what they are doing, but is that enough? Are Nigerians pleased? The assessing portal that was created for Nigerians to assess.
Tracker app.
Yes. How well have they, has it been active? How well have they been using it? Can Nigerians truly, I think Nigerians should be the one to judge which minister is doing well.
Well, when I saw this, or when this news actually came up, I was asking, are we using that app for us to appraise the ministers to know how they perform before they will do the reshuffling? Because if we're to say, okay, because you're not doing well, I will take you out. Also, we've heard about some of the ministers that some people in the parts of the country where they are from, I've heard of how a sheikh in a particular state have been calling out a man, particular individual, saying he has been aiding insecurity in the country. And this also is a man that was appointed to make sure that the insecurity prevalent in Nigeria has been curbed. And then you ask yourself, how are we going to do this? Is it the president that wake up and say, okay, you leave the seat? I appointed you, I don't want you anymore.
Of course,
or is it that the people are going to say, okay, these are the persons working? Because we could recall when that came up, some people said, no. Some people are doing well, like the Dave Umahi, the Minister of Works, they say he's doing well, he's representing Nigeria properly. And,
Fina, let me start with the man about insecurity. I know you are talking about Bello Matawale.
Are you talking?
We are Nigerians and we shouldn't cover our messes, whatever. The fact of it is that when they talked about the president coming back and ministers being jittery, it's normal for them to be jittery because I think it's about time that the president rejigged the cabinet. Or when we talked about it last year, everybody understood that the president had to compensate some people, with positions because of the roles they played during the election. But like I said, it's about time that we moved on. A lot of people are not fit for purpose in ministries that they are serving. You just mentioned a particular man who was almost driven out of his state by insecurity, and the man turned out to be our Minister of State.
But the president also
for defense.
The president have given vote of confidence to all the people he appointed. So are we seeing the rejigging happening?
He may have.
You don't expect the president to say otherwise. You don't expect him to say otherwise. It's some kind of collective responsibility as a concept. If he feels strongly against any of them, he will simply shove the person aside, and that is what we expect to see in the coming days. Because Nigerians it's difficult for us to reconcile, what we see what we have seen in the past 16 months of this administration. Things seem to be on the downside, going south every other day, and if the president is aware, we understand on most occasions, he has ministers to drive the business of governance. So there is no way.
I would like to believe the president is very aware because he's one who likes to micromanage things. So he's very aware.
So Nigerians expect, I personally expect that there will be a turnaround. Turnaround in the cabinet.
But
going
you
forward.
just pointed out that some people were being compensated. So how certain are we in Nigeria that when he come up to say he wants to rejig the ministry and then he wants to, appoint some other persons, it won't fall back again
into compensation?
Exactly.
Well, the bottom line is elections are over.
Yes.
Elections are over. So the conversation around compensating a few people was based on how they impacted, him coming into office.
And we know 2027 is around the corner too.
2027 is a long way off.
Oh,
sorry, Moses.
First of all, I've already started campaigning.
Sorry, if the president compensated you with a political appointment, courtesy demands, morality demands that you should even show, like we say, show working.
Show workings.
You need to show working in that place of responsibility. Otherwise, you lose the moral courage the responsibility to even remain in that position.
Of course, yes.
Let's
get into another conversation. Managing Director and CEO of the Transmission Company of Nigeria, Sule Abdulaziz, has disclosed that infrastructure challenges besieging the power sector is the reason for the frequent collapse of the national grid. Well, he noted that much of the equipment is outdated. But meanwhile, the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, says the country supplies electricity to neighboring nations such as Togo, Benin Republic, and Niger Republic as well. Well, we know this. We know this. I mean, electricity is sold to our neighbors, but that's not a problem. I think if Nigeria can generate enough to sell, Nigeria should generate enough for Nigerians to use. That's what Nigerians are talking about.
Let me start with TCN. When people come out to tell us that, we have obsolete equipment, our infrastructure, we have infrastructure deficit in the electricity sector. I liken it to, like Fina, you are cooking rice, you put it on fire, and you go to the room to sleep. And after 2 hours, you come out. Do you expect that the rice wouldn't be burnt? Of course, that is exactly.
It will not be a dry rice.
If you have a modern day equipment,
exactly,
it might trip it off.
Unfortunately, we don't have modern day equipment in the electricity sector. That's the point I was driving home.
Yeah.
I mean, we got power. I think they say it was in 1901 or thereabout that the first electricity was turned on in Lagos here, Lagos Island. And we started building equipment up until we got independence and up after the Civil War.
Yeah.
But after that, we went to sleep. And now we are complaining. What do you expect? We need an infrastructure upgrade from time to time.
Of course.
And the problem is that it is not only in the electricity sector. It's every other way. Look at, Nitel became comatose even while we were still using it. You could dial from morning till end and you will not get a dialing tone. And even when you dial, the thing doesn't ring or at the other end of it. And is it the hospital sector? Is it the education sector?
Please.
Is it the education? Is it the health sector? Is it the road infrastructure or what? We don't have appropriate maintenance culture.
No, we do not.
But there is no time, there is no wrong time to do the right thing. Now that we have realized that we have this problem in our hands, I think the appropriate thing to do is to start looking for ways to improve on the infrastructure.
And some Nigerians are saying,
across sectors, across board.
If at all the president would want to rejig, I think the Minister of Power is one that should be
Minister
considered.
That tells you that 40% of Nigerians are getting how much electricity, and that's why you are not even complaining, even if you buy fuel at 1,200.
For me, I think I will also, follow that line of thought that talked about us having enough before we start selling off. It's quite appalling that Nigerians are grappling with electricity power supply, and then we're supplying to other nations that are enjoying 24 hours.
Do you know why we supply to those people?
Why do we supply? To generate money, right? No, and they are owing, I hope you know they say they are owing us. Yes.
It's not to generate money. It's a quid pro quo. Oh. You give and take.
So what are we taking?
The agreement, the bilateral agreement states clearly that we have to supply these people so that they will not dam the river Niger from their source and cut us off. Like what happened between Ethiopia, Sudan, and Egypt. In the Nile. They are still grappling with that particular problem. So that's why we went into that bilateral agreement with them. It is not as if Nigeria is just trying to play the big brother thing, give power. There's an economic reason behind it. But the fact that they turn out to owe us up to the tune of 9 billion naira is what I don't understand.
So we need to reconsider that.
If you reconsider it, they are going to dam
No, we need
Niger.
to reconsider the arrangement. Other things should be brought to the table.
Exactly.
So now you create new trade-offs.
Yes.
So you go to the table and create new trade-offs.
Exactly.
Meanwhile, you need to collect your money from them.
They have to pay us first what they are owing us. Because I can't see the reason I will not have up to 5 or 6 or 7 hours electricity power supply in my own home
But
as a
what
Nigerian.
that clearly shows
and people
is
are
that
enjoying 24 hours where they are staying.
They have infrastructure to carry the capacity you give them.
You mean the infrastructure that Nigeria sometimes also give? Because I can remember that we extended our railway station building to a
we're
particular
talking about
country.
electricity
We're talking also infrastructure is infrastructure. Because also we also aided in buying some cars for some people, for some nations
All right,
that happen to be
about
our
electricity infrastructure. Yeah.
general infrastructure.
You know, when people go ranting like this, you can tell that Nigerians are pained. Oh well, we were going into the papers very shortly, but before then, there are a few things that also trended late yesterday. I don't know if you guys saw the reports by the federal government, the House of Reps committee that investigated the prisons in the case of Bobrisky. It was Idris Okuneye, aka Bobrisky. According to the team that investigated, they have said that he actually slept within the prisons, where he was transferred from one Kuje prison to Kirikiri medium capacity to the maximum, and all of that. But he was given certain preferential treatment. He was allowed television, his phones, allowed humidifier, allowed to feed himself, allowed to entertain visitors, a lot of other things. But, it contradicts the fact that in the audio recording that was released by Vincent Otse, a.k.a. Very Dark Man, he did say that he said that he did not stay within the prison facility. Also, yesterday night, Nigeria Immigration Service arrested the same person, Bobrisky, on his way to, Benin Republic. On his way to Benin Republic. Well, they said that NIS now revealed that he was running away. At Semeboda, yes, thank you. At Semeboda, he was running away from the country. Pictures of that, surfaced on social media. Interesting case, really. Interesting. Oh, well.
Moses, I don't know. I have a problem with how we try to spotlight certain.
No, we're not. It's the corruption in the system that we are looking at now. Exactly. It's not about the individual.
In the process of looking at the corruption, we inadvertently, spotlight certain individuals, that we should be looking at role models for our children.
Where are they?
You and I have been complaining.
Point to a few right now in Nigeria.
Moses, you are one. We are one. You represent an identity that young men should look up to, because I don't understand what the Bobrisky of a thing is. Is he a man or a woman? Is that we have been
He's
complaining?
An individual.
We've been complaining about.
He is an individual.
Look, we've been complaining about the how pervasive we have become as a people. We're talking about marijuana. We're talking about drugs. We're talking about LGBTQ and all of that. And look at how our children are sliding away from moral high grounds. That are supposed to project a better society and take us to the next level. They pride themselves as Gen Zs.
They are now Gen A's, so we have Gen A's.
We have Gen A's.
Yeah,
Gen A's have not even met on the scene. We are still grappling with Gen Zs. And the millennials are sort of wondering, what the hell is going on? Away from that, I would like, if immigration service, if somebody has run foul of correctional problems, the person should be treated. There are many of these cases. So I keep wondering why even traditional media keep spotlighting, highlighting certain individuals.
But I also think they want to make this one to serve as a deterrent to other people that want to.
Is it that they are trying to create some kind of popularity or
it's
what?
Not. You need to. It's not about spotlighting the individual. It's about like I said earlier. It's about spotlighting the corruption in the system.
Yeah.
Why? Ask yourself a few questions. Why is it that continuously people that have been sentenced do not serve out their term within the confines of the correctional centers. Why? We know these things exist, but why has it continued? Why is it that the National Assembly, House of Reps, will summon an individual, summons that come a week before, and the individual decides not to show up, and nobody is being questioned? Is that individual above? It's not the first. I know. I absolutely
That is
know.
why I was
It's not the
saying-
first, but it should stop.
Yeah, this should serve as a
It should
deterrent
stop.
so that it will
I
stop.
understand that it should stop.
That's-
but why
that is-
are we overemphasizing it?
No, we are not.
We are not overemphasizing
I'm
it,
not talking
Mr.
about you.
We want-
I'm
we
talking
want to
about
get-
the Nigerian media.
Of course, absolutely.
We
let's-
need to get to the root of it. We need to get all those people
Let's
who
get
are
into the
involved,
papers.
people that gave the go-ahead order and all that, so that they will actually come and tell us what is happening.
Well, let's take a break now and get into the papers and look at a few stories that made it to the cover pages before we get into our major conversation this morning.
Thank you so much for staying with us. It's still VOP this morning on the cover pages of the national dailies. Before me, I have the Nigerian Tribune, I have the Punch newspaper, the Guardian, the Daily Trust, the Daily Independent, and a whole lot more. And I would like to start off from the cover page of the Nigerian Tribune. They have the banner headline to be PDP captures Ganduje over threat to capture Ondo. The story is on page 16 of the Nigerian Tribune. And the window headlines that made it to the cover page of the Nigerian Tribune this morning reads, FG approves $1.28 billion CPLAT ExxonMobil deal. Quarter 3, that's Q3 2024, UBA grows net interest income by 149%. I'll take that again for clarity's sake. Q3 2024, UBA grows net interest income by 149%. Alleged $6 billion Mambila power plant fraud. Agun lawyer kicks against EFCC amended charges. The story is on page 5 of the Nigerian Tribune. And we also have other headlines to be Immigration Service arrest Bobrisky at Seme border. More Lalu's appointment will make achieving objectives of ASG easy. And that is coming from Anyoko. Security agents for kidnap attempt on Tribune Abuja Bureau Chief Family. Assailants shot 3 soldiers. PDP governors meet over Demagun neck. The story is on page 15 of the Nigerian Tribune. Flood emerges over 25 communities in Edo. Flood submerges over 25 communities in Edo. WHO declares Egypt malaria-free. WHO declares Egypt malaria-free. The story is on page 2 of the Nigerian Tribune. And I will have the bottom strip, that's the last but not the least of the headlines that made it to cover page of the Nigerian Tribune this morning to be. We will insulate judiciary from manipulations, external interference, and that is coming from Wike. We will insulate judiciary from manipulations, external interference, Wike. And those are the stories that made it to the cover page of the Nigerian Tribune.
All right, to the Punch now. Banner headline here. Fuel imports, marketers differ as Dangote sues NNPCL. 5 others. Parties in talks before presidential panel. Case will be withdrawn in January. Dangote. All right, this back and forth. Oh, well. On top of the nameplate, FG loses 13 trillion naira to Forex subsidy. World Bank. 11 investment picks shun Nigeria as FG records $5 billion FDI. 2027, pro-Wike PDP bigwigs comb north for Makinday's running mate. All right then, interesting times. APC PDP trade words over Aiyedatiwa's spending. Government not serious on Lagos-Calabar highway section in Ondo, LP. All right. And we go further down, you see suspense as Supreme Court rules on 16 governors' suit against EFCC today. Immigration detains Bobrisky after semi-border arrest. Tage Bank grows shareholders' fund by 960%. EFCC slams fresh 14 charges against ex-Kwara governor, ex-commissioner. PDP crisis. Oyinlola panel. Governors meet Damagum today. All right, these are the headlines in the Punch newspaper.
And from the Guardian newspaper, we have the banner headline, Promises bills stall at NAS as political motions get priority. That story is on page 6 of the Guardian. There's a cartoon there, anti-hardship bill. It looks like some members of NAS are trying to present a bill to the National Assembly, anti-hardship bill, but the one with the mace says, isn't this too big for the House? And just below that, you have anxiety as court prepares to rule on Kanu council poll. That story is on page 21. Obasanjo warns of global conflicts, says 92 countries fighting 58 wars. You can find that story on page 3 of The Guardian. Bobrisky did not stay outside prison during sentence, says investigation panel. That story is on page 8. PDP ramps up internal reforms as NEC, NWC, governors prepare for critical decisions. Anambra, Ebonyi, Imo grounded amid Ipob's denial of sit-at-home order. That story is on page 27. And the EFCC mocks critics, rearranges ex-governor over 5.78 billion naira fraud. And the last but not the least, Dangote Refinery withdraws suits against NNPCL orders. That story is on page 2 of The Guardian. And that's all from The Guardian newspaper.
On the cover page of the Delhi Independent newspaper this morning, we have the bold headline to be Party Crisis. PDP governors plan soft landing for Damagun. Anyangu summon them. The writers to that story, Onilola Committee meets NAS caucus on dwindling fortunes of party. PDP says Gandaje's statement on Ondo could truncate democracy. And the story is on page 29 of the Delhi Independent. And above the nameplate, FG holds shell asset sale. OK's Exxon Ciplat deal. DHQ warns against call for coup, says it is treasonable offense. Senator Ashiru's attack on us, born out of vendetta. And that is from NDLEA. The story is on page 6 of the Delhi Independent. Q3 2024 UBA grows net interest income by 149%. PBT up by 20% to 603 billion naira. UK advises airpeace to apply for slot at Heathrow Airport. The story is on page 7 of the Delhi Independent. Government security agencies allowed Enugu people for shunning sit at home. No fresh case against NNPCL, orders over fuel importation. That is coming from Dangote Refinery. Another bold headline on the cover page of the Delhi Independent. We have assembled legal team to review Nigerians' laws. That is from FG. And the last but not the least of the headline, immigration arrests Bobrisky at Seme border, trying to flee Nigeria. The story is on page 6 of the Delhi Independent. And that will be all from the cover page of the Delhi Independent newspaper this morning. And that is also how far we can go looking at the cover page of the national dailies. But do well to join Moses and Chuguma for the newspaper review proper. And that will be from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. And I will take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll be looking at how Southeast residents worry over persistent sit-at-home order and growing insecurity. And the question is, who is benefiting from the unrest in this region? Stay with us, because this will be what we'll be looking at after this quick break.
Good morning. It's the start of a beautiful day. Or start your day right with a healthy dose of news, fun, and inspiration. Join us on VOP this morning for the latest news, trending topics, and uplifting stories to set your day on the right vibe. From news and current events to lifestyle and entertainment, you are covered. Showing from 7 to 9 a.m. Monday through Friday on VOP TV. VOP TV. Now you have more than a voice. Catch up with the latest topics making the buzz, the stories that tick, the trends. Let's let you in on why they are trending. From politics, entertainment, business, lifestyle, and more. Analyzing the trending stories with top eyeballs. Hashtag on Voice of the People Television, giving you an insight to everything and everyone Nigeria is talking about. Showing on VOP TV, 10 p.m., Monday to Friday. Hashtag, if it's trending, we bring it on.
Thank you so much for staying with us. It's still VOP this morning. Down to the topic of conversation. The persistent sit-at-home order and growing insecurity in the southeast region of Nigeria have led many residents to question who benefits from the unrest in the region. Tensions rose after a viral video surfaced 2 weeks ago, showing an unidentified man urging residents to observe a 2-day sit-at-home from October 21 to 22. He claimed that Biafran soldiers would launch armored vehicles and hoist Biafran flag, warning of potential violence between Biafra fighters and the Nigerian army. The video sparked widespread concern, with local authorities, including the police, urging the public to ignore the illegal directive. The indigenous people of Biafra IPOB, through spokesperson Ima Powerful, also denied involvement in the sit-at-home order, claiming it was the work of infiltrators within the group, led by Nnamdi Kanu. Controversial IPOB agitator Simon Ekpa, known for repeatedly declaring sit-at-home orders days, despite his suspension from IPOB, distanced himself from the viral video too. However, his ongoing influence remains a point of connection and contention. Efforts by Igbo leaders like Governor Peter Mba of Enugu State and Governor Charles Chukwuma Soludo of Anambra State to halt the illegal action have so far been unsuccessful. We have with us in the studio this morning, we have Dr. Deji Omoshola, Doctor of Political Science, and also he's in the studio this morning in the capacity of a public commentator, and also have Prince Francis Chilaka, who is a political analyst, also with us in the studio this morning. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We have the issue of sit-at-home order. This time around is the 2-day. No longer the Monday sit-at-home order as usual in the southeast now, but it has been extended. And in the video, a man was calling for people not to come out, saying that the Biafran fighters will be displaying their armored vehicles and every other thing. Also citing that people that come out actually, they are the ones that they are heading to their peril, given the fact that the Nigerian military might try to ward off the fighters from hoisting the flag in the southeast. I'll start with you, Prince Chilaka. What do you really make of this? A lot of people ask so many questions. Why are we having this? Why is it that IPOB is divided?
Who and who makes up the IPOB? And I'll start from there. And how did we come about this whole madness of IPOB? You see, if you go down memory lane, you'll understand where this whole thing started. Owazirike started with Musa. And while he was at it, Nnamdi Kanu was also a member of Mossad. He broke away from Mossad and started IPOB. On the other hand, Simon Ekpa also has been riding on the back of Nnamdi Kanu. So it's like a triangle. But the thing is, where did it all start? What led to all of this? It all started with the fact that the Southeast governors have not done well. They have not been able to bring the dividends of democracy to the Southeast. So for me, I will not look at the federal government. The federal government has its own flaws. But I will look at the Southeast governors, the Southeast leaders. The only reason why you have agitation in the Southeast is because those they look up to as leaders have not done what they should do. We have had leaders in the Southeast, all they do is embezzle the money sent to them and not doing one single developmental project in the Southeast. So you will have agitation, but unfortunately, Ipob, Mossad, whatever name you want to call them, they have left the real issues and are following a different issue. You have left your state governors. Take, for instance, before the coming of Oti in Abia State was like non-existent. You had waste, the environment was stinking to such a length that people could not even breathe freely in the state. Also, don't forget that Nnamdi Kanu is from Abia State. Why did he find it difficult holding all the governors in that state responsible for the wars? So if you're holding your governors responsible, this whole idea of agitation, the agitation for succeeding should even start from the governors. It should start from the state, not from the federal level. That is on one hand. On the other hand, I don't understand the madness of a freedom fighter. You are fighting for your people. You say that the Igbos have been marginalized. You say that the Igbos have been maltreated. Yet, you are running an organization that has come out to start killing the same people you're trying to get freedom.
But IPOB have distanced themselves from the killings and the insecurity in the South, is citing that they are not the ones doing it. And that was what gave birth to, Priscilla, that was what gave birth to the emergence of the unknown gunmen.
No. Before the unknown gunmen, you see, we play too much in this country. We allow non-state actors to wield so much power. Don't forget that what happened in the Southeast is the thing that Asari Dokubo is doing now. Asari Dokubo is all over the place, waiting on, showing you people he has been training, telling you that he's a contractor to the federal government. What happens tomorrow if Asari Dokubo gets arrested? Don't you think that another Southeast would evolve? So for me, it's not about whether Ipob, Man Powerful, or anybody comes up. The thing is that they were the ones who planted this fruit that is growing now.
But you know, they said the whole Sister order thing, Prince Chilaka, started in August 2021 after the
was kidnapped.
Okay, I'm happy you're using the word. After he was brought back into the country, and you know the story so far up until this particular time, and they said they decided to do the Sister order for the government to also hear their cry.
Which government?
Now, the government of Nigeria to hear their cry. That is the region that they occupy. Now, are you saying that, them saying that we want to do the sit at home just on Mondays, you know, for us to show that we are not happy about how a freedom fighter was, you know, being rendited back to Nigeria, where other people who the federal government also charged with the same particular the same case of being moving freely in this country?
Let us, you know, be very honest with ourselves and ask ourselves one critical question. When you declare sit at home in the Southeast, how does it affect the earnings of the federal government? In what way does it affect their earnings? How does it affect how the federal government works? Look at what the shites do when they want to revolt. They don't wait. They don't do it in Kaduna. They don't do it in Bombay. They come to Abuja because that is where the seat of power is. Why did Ipob not go to Abuja to declare it at home? So that the federal government, or they come to Lagos and declare it at home.
All right, so
declaring it at home in the southeast is just killing the people. It's holding the people hostage. The same people you want to save.
I'd like to take it from the points that you raised. How does it affect the government? But we hear that monies are being lost. I'm going to come to Dr. Deji Omoshola now. From August 9th, when it started, 2021, I beg your pardon, August 9th, 2021, when it started, a report was done. From August 9th to about December 19, 2022, it was estimated that due to the seat at home in the southeast, about 15 trillion naira has been lost. 15 trillion naira was lost due to the seat at home. And a closer look at this showed that this involved SMEs, the common man, basically. But this has persisted regardless. And there are other instances where when Governor Peter Mbah came into office, he did say that, look, this must stop, all right? And then he went ahead with policemen in a show of force, instructing the people to come out, but the people did not come out. A few that came out were killed in areas where they came out, and the people went back into hiding. In fact, right now, if you ask the people to come out, they will tell you, no, we don't want to. Their lives have been fashioned in such a way that Mondays, they will just abandon every other thing and stay at home. Who is benefiting from this? If Southeasterners are losing about over 15 trillion as of 2022 December, who is benefiting from the seat at home?
Okay, let's look at some basic things for us to put this in context. First, the people of the Southeast, and who are they? The people you can call the Igbo race. Who are they? These are people that ancestrally, if you look at the people of the Niger Delta, for instance, they are ancestrally agrarian. Before the oil was discovered by Shell and the oil exploration and all that. If you look at the Yoruba people, they are agrarian, then most likely into what we can call entrepreneurship or petty trading. That's why you see the grandma in the olden days that they tie their money to their wrapper and all that. Now, if you look at people of the Southeast, these are people that are ancestrally businessmen, ranging from small scale to medium scale, and a few of them that perhaps God has blessed, are kind of like doing it on a very large scale, but it's mainly small and medium scale. So you now want to ask yourself that if this is what these people are ancestrally known for, and you want to say you want to liberate your people, then it brings us to context that what is liberation itself and what aspects needs to be liberated in the life of a man before we can do what I can call a sum of the whole to now say, oh, a man is truly liberated. Number one, they will say, oh, you should try and have some wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. You should have some education. I'm talking of as a human being now, that then you can be deemed to be knowledgeable, and that knowledge will bring liberation and financial freedom. But in the case of the Southeast, if you say you want to liberate them, can you separate people that are ancestrally businessmen? Can you separate them? Can you impose a seat at home on them, whereby you are now killing what they are ancestrally known for? At the end of the day, the problem will be that if this seat at home continues like that, let's say God tarries in his coming, and at the end of the day, there's a Biafra nation. Don't forget that Biafra nation, you will not be in Yoruba land or Arewa community. It will still be in that Igbo land. It will still be occupied by that same people, the same people there. So if you have destroyed the economy, if you have created alternatives for people that are dealing with people in the Southeast, if people that are small and medium scale, for instance, Aba now, Aba, whereby all these medium scale guys that are producing you shut it down on the most productive day of the week, on the important rush hour of the week, which is a Monday morning till evening. You shut it down, then you ask yourself, do you really love your people? Then we need to ask ourselves that, I'm being mindful of my words. I don't want to say there are some, should I say, bastard people, because you want to imagine that if your people are about making money, and money brings some form of independence, especially in the kind of Nigeria that we play, then you are now injuring your people from making the money at the most important time. Then we need to ask you that, who are you precisely now? Who are the people benefiting from it? It is still some people. You see, this sit at home is like a form of soft power. In the sense, it's like now, the way cultists behave, right? They are institutions of state. They are apparatus of state that are to tackle any kind of intimidation and harassment. But at the same time, there are different kind of cultists that still intimidate and harass people. So this thing, it is a form of soft power that, okay, we can't have this, but let us still be doing this as to say that we are still relevant. So it is still the people of the Southeast, but then government has been unable to curb it because already the police is underfunded, underpopulated, and the amenities are also insufficient. Right. So you see that it is not possible. And when you know that, if government says, don't worry, go out, and there are some non-state actors that say, don't go out, by the end of the day, when they will come for you, the government will not be there.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Deji. I think it was Soludo that bandied that figure that time about a certain amount of money that was lost, you know. And some people came out to ask Soludo, before they sit at home, the monies that were earned by the people and the government, if you put 15 trillion naira together, probably government earned 4 trillion out of that 15 trillion, while the other 11 went to the private sector. And the question was, Governor Soludo and other governors, what did you do with the 4 trillion naira, or the monies earned by the government on those days that Nigerians didn't sit at home? Now, the question is, should the people not hold the government responsible? I think Prince Chilaka said something about holding the Southeast governors responsible. I want you to expand it, both the state governors and the federal government, because if you look at the root cause of this insecurity, it's clearly hinged on marginalization. The people felt marginalized. There's no federal infrastructure in the Southeast. They were excluded in the commanding heights of the economy, even the military, and politics, especially during the Buhari administration. That was essentially what drove the agitation to the point that it's become very intense now. So don't you think that the federal government also holds the ace to stop this agitation at this moment?
Well, I will put some of the blame at the doorstep of the federal government based on the quasi-federalist system that we practice, in the sense that if you control all, you must be ready to receive the blame for all. That's just the basic principle. Like the federal government tends to control too much and tends to control everything. So because the power of force, whether the military, the police, the civil defense, the state, the secret police, the conventional police, lies with the federal government. And the purpose of the federal government is to use them to make sure that there is security in the land. So if I would have put it more at the doorstep of the state government, if the state have state police. But we've seen a situation whereby state governors, even their orders, are being denounced by commissioners of police. So in that kind of instance, if a governor is not at power, if a governor is not ready to bow down, to prostrate, to beg the presidency, then the governor will be helpless despite being a governor. Having said that, from the aspect of management of resources, both human resources and fiscal resources, which is money, I will put it a bit on the part of the state governors. Because, for instance, you see, if you do one thing, it can have a multiplier effect. Look at Aba now. I've been to Aba many years ago. What is stopping Aba from being an industrial hub? You don't expect, ideally, like in a country like Nigeria, with the real or perceived marginalization against the Igbos, you wouldn't expect that when the Yorubas and the Hausas, or if you like, the Hausa Fulanis as we have it now, when they are rotating power amongst themselves, and there's this ethnic suspicion that one day you guys might say you want to go, you ordinarily won't expect that they would want to do much in terms of building the Southeast industrially. Then it now boils down on the state governors to make sure that these things are being done in such a way that the Southeast will naturally evolve industrially, in such a way that the Southeast will not only feed the Nigerian market, but also the Togo market, the Ghana market, the Cote d'Ivoire market. The Southeast have the ability. So I will put that on the state government.
Dr. Deji, let's walk a bit back to history, This agitation that is very intense now, when Obasanjo was in government, when Yar'Adua was in government, even when Jonathan was in government, it wasn't as intense as it is now. Like Prince said, it was Masob. Mezrika was driving a Masob agenda. My people need to movement for the actualization of the sovereign state of Biafra. As at 2013, Nnamdi Kanu was not even campaigning for the Southeast to exit Nigeria. He was asking questions: how do we make this country a better place for everybody? Can't we sit down at a round table and renegotiate this union? So it was when a certain government came into power,
The
Buhari government, and excluded the Southeast. Clearly, that was when the agitation gravitated towards violence and all of that. And the government, instead of, okay, let me not even answer the question for you. The point of it is this: this present administration is continuing in that direction of the Buhari government. So don't you think that the federal government still holds the ace towards the resolution of this crisis?
Okay, I'll pick it from two sides. First, the part of the federal government, then that of Nnamdi Kanu. First, for the federal government, I've asserted before that for me, the Buhari government committed what I can call an unforgivable sin. What do I mean by that? If Buhari were to be a Kingsley Moghalu, if it were to be an Omoyele Sowore, or any of these, to use the word in Ipob, new cats, if it were to be any of these new cats, it would have been forgiven. That, Sowore is not experienced when it comes to leadership at that kind of level. So that's why his reasoning and his attitude is so sectional. But for a Buhari that has ruled this country as a military head of state, that has worked in an organization whereby you cannot avoid interacting with people from other ethnic groups, like the military. The military comprises of every ethnic group. So you rising through the ranks in the military, there's no way you won't interact with each and every sector of this country, whether by posting or even in the office itself. It's just like a police station. If you go there, you are expected to see an Hausa man, a Yoruba man, and a Ijaw man, just like a mini Nigeria. So for such a man that have ruled this country before, to have come back and now, be so nepotistic, tribalistic, for me, personally, it stands a little bit unforgivable, in the sense that it creates more harm than good. And I've asserted that the Fulanis that Buhari was trying to favor, he has even done them more harm than good, because before the emergence of Buhari, people were comfortable with the Fulanis to hire them as your megad and all that. But now, people are not comfortable with them. They'll be like, no, X-Men, oh no, Boko Haram, all those kind of a thing. So that marginalization is a problem. Now, on the part of Nnamdi Kanu, I felt that, for me, I think Nnamdi Kanu could have had a more strategic approach, knowing fully well the kind of people that he is dealing with. And I'll give you an instance. I believe that Nnamdi Kanu should have, started small, then grow. What do I mean by that? Instead of saying, we want Biafra, if Nnamdi Kanu have studied a bit of history, he would have known that if he just said that he wants Biafra and is clamoring for it, he would have known that it would be met with stiff resistance, knowing fully well the history of the man in power at that point in time, Buhari. But the thing is, if Nnamdi Kanu have made this thing like a Southeastern thing, and there is like a Southeastern political party which is like, should I say ABGA now? ABGA. If Nnamdi Kanu is advocating or establish a political party or form alliance with a political party and say, we the people of the Southeast, this is where we are going. Imagine, just imagine that, okay, there are 5 states in the Southeast. If ABGA is controlling all the 5, the local government, the local government as well, what it means is it gives you strong negotiating power. Because if you look at the House of Reps that will be coming from the Southeast, their number, if you look at the Senate that will be coming from the Southeast, when there's any major national issue, it is about give and take. Okay, you want to do this. This is the position of the Southeast. Okay, if we support you to have this in your region, will you support us to have this? So it gives the Southeast a more stronger voice. It gives the Southeast a more negotiating power.
But
and
Dr.
trust me,
Deji,
the Southeast, sorry, just a moment. The Southeast would have been more respected the more than to say, oh, we want a Biafran nation. I think the Biafran nation is to bring about development, is to bring about the kind of emancipation of the people. This can happen when the people itself are still in Nigeria. It
but
can
no,
happen.
we know that.
So later, then it can evolve. And sorry, ma'am, I've said it that the actualization of Biafra, the agitation will most likely come from outside the country, whereby you have been able to convince the people that Nigeria fears. Nigeria still have Oga, people where these people that they used to behave anyhow to us, they have people that they fear. When you are able to convince those people, then you know the agitation of Biafra will have a stand. When Kesaruba was clamoring and they didn't listen to him, when he made the advocacy international and it resonated with the international community, then they started giving him attention.
But you know that in Nigeria, for example, agitation did not just start from the Southeast. We have the likes of Sunday Boho, we have the likes of Showore, who also chime or put in their own voice that they are agitating for Yoruba nation. They also talk about the secession. The most recent one was that of Onitiri, who also went to Ibadan to also make a public announcement. Now, the case or the question now is this: why is it that we're having Nnamdi Kanu to be the one that this whole conversation is around? That is on one point. Why is it that Nnamdi Kanu is still the one that is in detention? We have Showore come back again, talk about a revolution in Nigeria for October 1. We also have Sunday Boho writing to Kastema about Yoruba nation. And yet, those ones are moving freely. Why can't we, or why is it that Nnamdi Kanu is the only one that Nigeria is so in court, so interested in his case and his call for agitation?
Okay, it's about interest of the government and what government perceives as a threat. And the White Prince of Chilaka now can make statement. Government can look at me and be like, no. But government can look at the White Prince of Chilaka and say, this man will get white. White, you know, we need to be very careful of him. So I think it's about the interest of government. But we need to distinguish the advocacy of Nnamdi Kanu and that of Showore. The advocacy of Nnamdi Kanu is a bit similar to that of Sunday Igboho because they want a new nation from the existing or the corporate existence of Nigeria. But that of Showore wants a revolution that will change the leadership structure, the status quo. He's not calling for Nigeria to disintegrate. Showore wants Nigeria the way it is, but he wants like a democratic generational change. You know, a change in the structure of governance in such a way that governance will begin to bring the dividends of democracy that it is actually supposed to bring. So whether it's advocating in such a way that they won't be sending prayer to mailbox.
Dr. Deji, thank you. Before I come to Prince, let me ask you this question. Do you think that the unity of this country is not negotiable?
Well, the unity of this country is negotiable. Even if you look at the UN charters and all the international treaties and all that, it's about marriage. You know, a country, a multi-ethnic country that exists, it is a marriage between two ethnic groups. And in marriage, there's always negotiating terms. What will you give me? What am I giving you? You know, what are we both bringing to the table? So long as you cannot keep somebody in a marriage and you don't want to do anything and you still want the person in that marriage. No,
Exactly. So why I ask this question is, why is it, you said something about if Nnamdi Kanu knew history, he should have understood that the moment he drove the secessionist agenda that he will meet stiff resistance. Now, the question is, why is it that the Nigerian state does not want to clearly give the Southeast what is due to it in terms of resource distribution?
Greed.
Yet, they do not want the Southeast to exit.
Greed.
Why that contradiction?
Greed. It's just greed, you know. And if in a democratic setting, in a multi-ethnic democracy, there can only be peace if everybody or anyone doesn't come to the table with greed. Let's say this is Nigeria. The 5 of us here make up Nigeria. And there will only be peace here if there's cake on the table and each and every one of us does not come to the table with greed. Okay, what did you contribute? What is your experience? Okay, this is your share, this is my share. Then everybody goes home peacefully. But if you want to grab all the cake to yourself, of course there will be problem, because she would revolt that, oh, is it because I'm a woman? You know, and if it is Prince that want to grab all the cake to yourself, then now we come up with, is it because I don't have white beards? You understand? So those things will begin to come up. You get what I'm saying? So those are the kind of things that will bring up issues. Okay. So the thing is, one of the solutions is don't come to the table with greed. I'm a Yoruba man. I'm a Yoruba man. I'm sorry, I have to say this. I'm a Yoruba man. But I think that other ethnic groups have been largely greedy, including the Yorubas, sincerely. Okay. The reason why I say so is that now there are three, except my secondary school teachers are wrong, right? There are three major ethnic groups. But if you look at it, since that coup that happened in the, is it 1963 or something? 66. Now, that particular coup, you will see that the Yorubas and the Fulanis have been so greedy that they've been rotating in among themselves. Now, Tinubu, if you use maybe 8 years, at the end of the day, if he's leaving, even before he leaves, the Fulani are already hungry for the power, as if it's their birthright. Immediately, the Fulanis are leaving. The Yorubas are already roaring like lion, roaring like thunder, right, to grab the power. Then you ask yourself, what happens to the South? If you look at it now, sorry, sir. Right. If you look at it now, in Nigeria, if you begin to rank it, the Igbos that are the third largest ethnic group are not well represented. The president, number 1, vice president, number 2, senate president, number 3, speaker of the House of Reps, number 4. Okay.
All right, then. Let me come to the Prince now. Prince, you're shaking your head. Is that disbelief or...
No,
let's...
No, I'm sorry. I'm shaking my head because each time we talk about this thing about the Southeast, I get very emotional because I'm a Southeasterner. But my emotion goes to the fact that everything anybody is saying about the federal government still does not resonate. It boils down to, what do the Igbos themselves want? You have governors in the Southeast.
That's where I'm
You have governors who have been receiving money from the federal.
Let me ask you
Why are they not developing the Southeast?
Let me ask you
Sorry,
this.
I'm coming.
That's exactly, that's exactly where I'm coming to. The governors, the Southeasterners, the governors, why haven't they? Because we see a situation whereby a governor comes out and says, look, I want to align with the center so my people can enjoy the benefits of democracy. We hear of that. But when it comes to development, is it a question of greed? When it comes to the agitation, when it comes to the release of Nnamdi Kanu, is it a situation of aligning with the center or a situation of greed? What exactly is playing out? Let's make sense of it.
Let me start by saying that power is not given, power is taken.
So you need to snatch it and run.
Definitely.
Okay.
Power is not given. Let us align to that. Secondly, when you get the power, you either use it to the benefit of the people or you use it for your own selfish ends. What has continued to play out in the Southeast, other than the late Sabun Bakwe of blessed memory, who else in the Southeast as a governor has developed anything, has done anything meaningful in the Southeast? Mention one governor.
So basically, the Southeasterners that represent the people as governors do not even want development in the area.
Now, when you say you want to align with the federal government, or you want to align with the power for the benefit of your people, in all these alignments, what development have they brought?
And that brings me back again to...
I'm coming. When Mbak came on, the governor of Enugu State, and he said he wants to end sit at home, that people should come out if you don't come out, he will demolish your shop. And I said, this man is not serious. He doesn't understand what is at play. Why is it that the Southeast governors are not sitting down with all the senators, with all the representatives, with all the elders and chiefs and Ezes? Why have they not sat down to ask themselves, what is the core problem?
Does that have anything to do with the disposition or the perceived disposition of the Igbo man as proudful?
Well, let's say, there is this saying about the Igbos, the Igbos have no king. But we have outlived that.
Have we?
Yes, we have. Because now the Igbos negotiate, they discuss. But unfortunately, in all these discussions, it's not about the survival of the ordinary Igbo man. It's about the survival of a few. We saw what Rochas did in Imo State, using the state's funds to build statues.
So are you now saying,
what kind of stupidity
are you
is
now
that
saying,
as a governor?
Are you now saying, going by everything we have seen and the fact that those that are politicians within the Southeast don't seem to be representing the people's rights, if and probably when the state of Biafra is given, will we see anything different?
Those agitating for Biafra, are they not Igbos? Those that eventually, if there is Biafra, that will oversee the affairs of Biafra, are they going to import people from the moon?
Those governing the Southeast too are Igbos.
Those governing the Southeast right now are Igbos. Charity begins from home. So for me, as an Igbo man, let me put it clearly, for me as an Igbo man, it's not about Biafra. Okay. It's about the development of the Southeast.
So that brings me to this question.
Let me finish. Few years back, I belong to an organization known as Imo Network Group.
Okay.
We went to Umuahia to visit Nnamdi Kanu just before his home was sacked and all of that. And we were very clear. I, as an Igbo man, I believe that if the Southeasterners will come together and adopt what I call 24 years development plan,
okay,
which was what we gave to him. We said, like Dr. Moshola said, we asked him, let us take the whole of Ipob and run over Abga.
Okay.
And have Abga as a party for the Southeast.
Okay.
You know what? No, you do know what would have happened. What would have happened is that by now you probably have about 7 states under Abga.
Okay.
And that gives them the strength to negotiate. And that gives the Igbo man the strength to come to the federal and say, this is what we want.
Exactly.
Now hold on. Look at Lagos State. Let's go back to the 2 former governors, Fashola and Ambode. They set the standard for the development of the state. Go back to the Southeast. What do you have in Imo State?
Prince,
what do you have in Enugu State?
Prince,
what do you have?
Prince,
I'm coming. Please hold on. I have a thought. Let me finish my thought. Let me finish. Now, when Mba came out and said, stop Monday sit at home, did he provide security for those he's asking to come out?
Oh, yes, he did.
How come that when the unknown gunmen will come out to strike, you will not see the presence of security? What is going on? It simply shows you that it's either the governors themselves are the beneficiary of this sit at home, or the local chiefs.
Okay, Prince, you said something about negotiation, that Igbo should negotiate. You also said that power is not given, that it is taken. I have 2 questions for you. One, did Jonathan take power, or was it given to him? That is one. 2, when you talk about, don't you think that these problems are layered? Clearly, the state governors have their responsibilities, which they have failed according to you. A lot of people will agree with you. But on the other side, on the other hand, don't you think that the federal government is also driving the marginalization? This present administration is constructing a Lagos-Calabar coastal highway, flagged off, under construction. The same government is constructing a Badagry-Sokoto highway, flagged off, under construction. These 2 super highways cut across more than 18 states of the Federation. Buhari built rail lines across the length and breadth of this country. Southeast got only 4 40 kilometers. Do you hold the governors responsible for not building a coastal highway that didn't cut through the southeast? A super highway that didn't cut through the southeast from Badagry to Sokoto? Is it the problem of the governors or is it a national problem? I don't even want to talk about appointments in the commanding heights, both under Buhari and this present administration, where the southeast has been clearly excluded.
Mr. Koro, personally, I do not believe in this federal government as an Igbo man. I will not hold federal government responsible for what's happening in the southeast. I will hold my governors responsible. If the federal government has decided not to build rail lines in the southeast, why are your governors not coming together to build rail lines connecting the entire southeast? Don't they have the money?
Rail lines were only decentralized just about a year ago.
It doesn't matter. Since a year ago, what have they done?
How many states have built in the southwest? How many states have built rail lines?
Calm down. Even the road network in the southeast, how many of them are working?
I say the problems are layered.
No, how many of them are working? Maybe you should take a trip to the southeast.
Okay, how many federal roads in the southeast are working?
Listen, when we had problems with federal roads in Lagos, I remember the governors then fixed the roads and sent the bill to the federal government. The federal government paid back. Why are the South? It doesn't matter. A debt is a debt. Why are the Southeast governors not thinking out of the box? Why are they not thinking out of the box?
That will bring me to this question, Prince Chilaka. You know, you've been talking about the state governments or the people in the southeast, the governors in the southeast not doing what they ought to have done for their people. And then I want to ask, who is really benefiting from the insecurity in the southeast? Because, for example, we also had during the time of Nnamdi Kanu's broadcast, he made mention of how the southeasterners, how the big wigs in the southeast are actually part of the people, or part of the challenge, the problems that they're having. And that is what Ipob tagged to be how politicians of the southeast turn their back, you know, towards his release or his freedom. Now, we have Simon Ekpa coming up to say, sit at home in the southeast must happen. Whereas Nnamdi Kanu have said, there's no more sit at home. Ipob also happens to be the Ipob spokesperson, says, we are not the ones giving the sit at home order because we cannot kill the people that we are agitating freedom for. They have also pointed out saying that some people are benefiting from the sit at home order and the unrest in the southeast. So Mr. or Prince Chilaka, I will ask you, you're smiling already. Who are the benefactors or who are the people benefiting from the sit-at-home or the unrest in the southeast?
The governors are beneficiaries, every one of them. They cannot deny it.
Even the ones saying that it's sit-at-home should stop?
You know that every month they collect security votes. Also, there's a particular amount that is given to states that are troubled in terms of security. Where are they applying those funds? The political class in the southeast are responsible for the unrest in the southeast. Because when it is time for election, they bring out guns and hand over to their thugs. Do they get to collect it back after the elections? What is happening in the northeast today? We all know how it started. It's the political class. You cannot in any way exonerate the political class from what is happening. Is it the ordinary poor man on the street trying to survive by the day? Is it the one that is financing such madness?
All right.
Does he have the kind of money to do that?
Well, big questions. But because of time, let's quickly touch on the involvement of another individual who has declared Biafra in exile. I'm talking about Simon Ekpa now. His name was mentioned not too long ago by my colleague here. Simon Ekpa has consistently called for agitation in the southeast, even when Nnamdi Kanu has dissociated himself from some of the agitation in the southeast. Nigerians, have said, look, and then words that one can consider derogatory are constantly being put out on the different media that he uses. And Nigerians have said, look, bring this person home. Now, I do understand that we may not have extradition treaty with the Finnish government. But what is, according to you now, what do you think his interests are? Some have even said that he may be sponsored by certain individuals in government to ensure that insecurity persists in the southeast, as that will affect elections. Because we see, cases where elections are to be held, elections that will ordinarily put people in power, help them decide on who will govern or their person of interest be in power, and you say people must not come out to vote. Is that in the interest of the people?
Okay, let me quickly touch on a question he asked that.
Go ahead.
Who is benefiting from this sit at home in the southeast? Number one, the non-state actors. You see, this sit at home, to my mind, started as a solidarity that, oh, why would you arrest Nnamdi Kanu? Is it because he is vocal? Is it because he wants something good for his people? If that be the case, we will sit at home every Monday to express our interest. So to express our dissatisfaction. So it started as a solidarity movement. But then these non-state actors began to realize that, oh, so we can truly, declare sit at home. So that means that we have so much power. And they started profiting from it. And by the way of profiting from it, it came to stay. If you ask me again that, who is profiting from it? I can say the federal government. You ask me how. The federal government is largely dominated by the Yorubas and the Hausa Fulanis, right? Now, if the Yorubas and Fulanis want to keep rotating power among themselves, number one, if there's no peace in your area, it helps them. Number two, if you are not as financially stable as you should be, it helps them. So if they don't want you in power and your source of wealth, you are declaring sit at home to kind of like you say, okay, people should sit at home. So those at the federal level, those at the federal level that stands to benefit from it will keep it like that, but they will just manage the situation in such a way that it doesn't lead to a total breakdown of law and order or threaten the corporate existence of Nigeria. I'll give you an example. The case of bandits, for instance, the bandits are there, they are operating, but when they are going overboard and it begins to kind of like be like it wants to threaten the corporate existence of Nigeria, government will react. But after a while, government will pipe down. Why don't you react fully to nip it in the bud fully? So the federal government itself, that is largely dominated by the Yorubas and the Hausa Fulanis, the lack of peace, the lack of coherence, if you look at it, is to their own benefit. If there is peace in the southeast, you would think, oh, you want to come up with a united something, or you want to align with one political party or form an alliance. But if there is no peace, then that may be difficult itself. And now there are like 4 different kind of political voices, or if you, I don't want to say leadership voices. There are 4 kind of factions that you can either align with 1 or 2 or 3 or all. Number 1, that of Nnamdi Kanu. Because Nnamdi Kanu has stayed long in detention, he's beginning to lose steam to some extent. You have Simon Ekpa, which also have his own followers. You have Peter Obi, who is being seen as the political leader now of the Southeast. So you now tend to imagine that, okay, this Southeast, where do we really go? You see people that they are supporting Nnamdi Kanu, that, okay, free Nnamdi Kanu, we want Biafra. You also see those people, during election, they will say, oh, we want to go and vote for Peter Obi. You will see the same people, will say, why should you extradite Simon Ekpa? So there is confusion all over the place, except for the Igbo ruling elite that are profiting from the corporate existence of Nigeria. That the corporate of an Igbo man that has built businesses, for instance, or Jews or Kalu, for instance, we not pray that Nigeria should disintegrate. Because why? He has built the businesses across the length and breadth of Nigeria. So the Biafra agitation is mainly for the Talakawas, the Mekunus, the have-nots, or the middle class of the southeast. But the people that are feeling the pain, or the people that can make that happen, they won't want it to happen because it will affect them, it will affect their interests. And that's why you see that Nnamdi Kanu is not being released. Because they will think that, oh, the people that can fight for him, people that can speak on his behalf, just as the Yoruba kings, the Yoruba political elite spoke in favor of Sunday Igboho. Sometimes, when you walk through life, when you pass through life, if you have not passed through life to such an extent that you need some people to speak for you apart from yourself, then you haven't passed through life. But when you get to that stage, if you don't have somebody to speak for you, then you'll be in problem. One of the problems Nnamdi Kanu is facing is not because he has committed any crime that has never been committed in Nigeria before. Secession in Nigeria started way back in the 1960s during the days of Isaac Adakaboro. So Nnamdi Kanu is not new. Or this Odumegu Ojukwu, he did it, Sunday Igboho and a host of others. But the truth is, those that can advocate for his release right now are people that are benefiting from. You would think that they are divided. When these people, when they meet with the president, they are beginning saying, oh.
But the likes of the late Iwanya who advocated, people like that spoke out. These are people of influence as well.
Yes, the late Iwanya is respected. But those that can speak now, right now, are the people that have the political power now.
The governors in the southeast have gone to see the president in this regard. Do you think it's just a show off?
I think there's no serious dimension to it, in the sense that, for instance, when the president was campaigning and he went to the southeast, what was the point of dialogue of the southeast people? Okay, Buhari marginalized. Buhari, okay, you want to say unjustly detained Nnamdi Kanu. It's okay. But when the Emilokon was campaigning, what was the Igbo's point of negotiation as an ethnic group? The Igbo leaders, the Hope Uzodinma, a host of them, what was their point of negotiation with, let's say, Peter Obi is their own, with Atiku Abubakar and the continued detention of Nnamdi Kanu? Of course, you cannot exclude the leadership structure in the country. For instance, if the Igbos are being given a fair opportunity to be president, one, it will douse this tension. Two, no matter how long it takes, an Igbo man will come there and also release his own people.
But Dr. Deji, even some people from Yoruba land.
I need to say this. Just as Buhari went all after Sunday Igboho, Bola Ahmed Tinubu came there, he piped down. So if Buhari went after Nnamdi Kanu, Bola Ahmed Tinubu has failed to release him. If there is no greed in the political structure of Nigeria, if, let's say, the president now is Peter Obi, maybe he would have also released Nnamdi Kanu. So that's why I said that you can't rule away the import of political power. And you have leaders now that they are mainly advocating for themselves in the southeast. You understand? So if they make it a point of pressure that this is what we want, Bola Ahmed Tinubu will give it to them. Releasing Nnamdi Kanu is not really his problem.
So it's up to the leaders.
It's not really his problem.
All right, then. So let's move on to another conversation now. Nigerians are crying out over what they term extortion, as the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has proposed a 5% tax on telecom and others, while hardship pushes daily petrol consumption down by 92%. And this is amid the price hike of fuel under this present administration. Let's talk about this one after this very short break.
All right, welcome back and thanks for staying with us. Now, the recent proposal by the federal government under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to impose a 5% tax on telecom services, gaming, and betting has received strong opposition from Nigerians. Many consider the move an added strain on low-income earners, labeling it extortion against the poor. With rising living costs, citizens worry this tax will further deepen their financial struggles, as these services are vital for communication and entertainment. Reactions have been mixed, with some expressing shock, while others anticipated such a policy from Tinubu based on his history with tax reforms. Conversations on social media, particularly on X, formerly Twitter, have fueled debate, raising concerns over the government's impact on the most vulnerable citizens. Meanwhile, the country's daily petrol consumption has seen a sharp decline since Tinubu assumed office on May 29, 2023. Data from the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority shows a dramatic drop in consumption from 60 million liters in May 2023 to just 4.5 million liters by August 20, 2024, a 92% decrease. This downturn reflects the increasing hardship Nigerians face, with many unable to maintain a decent standard of living. We still have in the studio Dr. Deji Omashola and Prince Francis Chilaka. Gentlemen, thanks for staying with us.
You're welcome.
Prince Chilaka, how much tax do you pay in a month? You earn more than 150 million naira. Yes, tax reforms. Tax reforms.
Please don't allow Bola to remember.
All right, now, the president wants to impose a 5% tax on telecom services, gaming, and betting. Away from these other taxes, in fact, the president has tried to expand the tax net to pull in a lot of Nigerians amid the hardship. Do you think that the taxes are, that the reform, are Nigerians also having any benefit from the increased taxation across board?
When you say reforms, for me, what I believe a reform is something that takes us from the bad side to the good side. Something that adds value to the livelihood of the people. And when a government is talking about reforms, we're expecting that there must be something bad in an already existing system that they want to reform to better the people. Don't forget, governance is about the people. Democracy is about the people. Unfortunately, Nigerian kind of democracy is not about the people, but about the ruling class, about the bourgeois. And until we are able to get out of that, we'll continue. See, when Nigerians are screaming today, I laugh. I laugh not because I'm not feeling the pain. I laugh not because I'm not already inside the tax net. But I laugh because this is the man who told you when he was campaigning that I was going to expand the tax net. I was going to reduce your purchasing power. So, I mean, what are people worried about?
Did he say that?
No, he didn't. I thought I heard it in my dreams, you know. So, but the thing is this, we are faced with the reality of the man who they said claimed that he built Lagos. And unfortunately, when people sell that narrative, it brings to question, what role did the likes of Fashola play in Lagos? Ambode, what role did they play? Today, we're talking about, we just finished with the blue rail, we've entered the red rail, but we know who started them. It shows that governance is continuing. But unfortunately, at the federal level, you know, the president is more interested in how much money comes in to the coffers of the federal government, which will be shared between the federal government, the states, and the local government. And in this sharing, or in this net of gathering funds, nobody is talking about the ordinary Nigerians.
Don't you think that the reform policies are making impact? Because the World Bank says, yes, this is good, they need to be sustained.
Mr. Okoro, I don't know when you become an advocate of World Bank. No, I don't know what good World Bank and IMF has done to Nigeria, other than giving loans to government without collateral. They give loans without question. And because they are the ones giving you money, after all, they say, he who pays the piper dictates the tone. So for me, anybody that is sitting and dining with World Bank or IMF as regards Nigeria economy, has lost it.
Do you have a problem with the loans? Because the World Bank says that our debt to GDP ratio can still accommodate more money.
loans.
So
It's not about accommodation. It's about what you use the money you collect for.
Okay, now
A country where maybe because you work in an air-conditioned office and you move in an air-conditioned car
and you are sitting here with
and
me.
you sleep in an air-conditioned house, you do not understand what is happening out there.
Well, before
Let me say this.
before people
Let
come
me
and
say
raise
this about this tax. Let me say this about this tax. You see all these area boys go and market. In the next couple of months, they will start paying tax. Agbero will pay tax. It's going to get to that.
That's an interesting one.
Yes, it's going to get to that. Because by the time you are taxed, don't forget, this area boy, this Agbero, this tout, they have parents. And their parents are working. By the time the tax hits their parents, it's hitting them by extension. So for me, I do not see any light at the end of the tunnel. All I see is the garnishing of teeth, and that there's going to be more cries and more sorrows in the days to come.
Right now, Dr. Deji, he said he did not see any light at the end of the tunnel. And then the president asked Nigerians to please give him little time. He said you need to brace up because the reforms that he's putting in place is for the betterment of the nation in general. And do you also think that the tax reforms, the increment in telcos paying 5% and all that, don't you think that's a more way for Nigeria to be more accountable and for us to generate more revenue?
Well, first, what is tax meant for? Tax is meant for to generate income for the government so that they can use it to fund public infrastructures. They will collect tax and use it to provide what the people need, right? So tax is meant that, okay, you would enjoy something that directly or indirectly part with some of the things that you have. We know that naturally, human beings do not like to part away with anything. But then a law comes into play that part with some. But while parting with some, government is always careful in such a way that what you are parting with is not what will make life unbearable for you, so that they don't use the money that they collect from you at the end of the day to be buying ammunitions. They want to use that money to provide public infrastructure, not to buy ammunition. So when people are overtaxed, then you will see that what the money for the tax is supposed to be meant for, it will end up being for it. Now, the tax is in three phases. Telcos, gaming, betting, right? Now, you can say that, oh, you want to increase the tax on betting, maybe to discourage youth, that you can link it with drug addiction and all that, okay, if you are addicted to betting, there is high probability that you will either be addicted to alcohol or to all these smokes and all that. So if a research is conducted and they see the linkage, they can increase the tax on betting to discourage youth from participating in betting, just as in the Southeast Asian countries, whereby they are largely Islamic. What they do is to increase the tax on alcohol in such a way that it won't be easy for you to consume the alcohol. Now, but for the telecoms, I think for me, that is illogical on the part of government, because the world is gravitating towards data now. You can use your WhatsApp for call and all that. So if you increase the tax on the telcos are not Father Christmas. They will pass it to the people. So if you look at it, on all fronts, we are already overtaxed, if I can put it that way. And don't compare it to the West. No. You will be doing justice to the matter if you are comparing Nigeria to the West in terms of accountability, productivity, income, and all that. You'll be doing injustice to it. We're already overtaxed because anything you buy, anything, there's a tax already on it. If you go and buy this phone, there's a tax already on it. If you enter the boutique, if you go to restaurant, if you buy bread, anything,
even the calls you make,
even the calls you make, there's tax on it already. And you have removed the subsidy on petrol like 3 times. you have float the naira, that naira should find its value in an economy I call foreign economy. And what do I mean by that? Look at everything around you in the Nigerian economy. They are made in China, made in Europe. You know, you largely point out something that is made in Nigeria. I'm sure if I check this your suit now, it's not made in Nigeria.
It's made in Aba.
It's made in Aba. I will check after the program.
Just like your own.
So no, I must say that. So the truth is, you see that people are already overtaxed. So rather than government to at least bring some so-called, you see, and another thing is, you find a situation whereby government is taking, but not giving.
All right.
You know, it's taking, it keep taking, but not giving. So what are you giving back in return?
I'm going to quote a word.
Can you? Okay.
Sorry, please. Sorry to interrupt you there. But I'm going to quote this word credited to Churchill. It says, I contend that for a nation to try to tax itself into prosperity is like a man standing in a bucket and trying to lift himself up by the handle. Can a nation truly tax itself into prosperity?
Good question, sir. You cannot tax yourself into prosperity.
What are we seeing now in Nigeria?
No, you see, we're only deceiving ourselves. And I usually say that it pains me because I am just one individual with a very small brain, in quote. Government has the best of human resources available. So when you now see that some human beings tend to be reasoning better than the government, then there's a problem. There is a major problem. Why would there be over 250 mineral resources in Nigeria? There is clay, the clay that is in your village, that is wasting, that is even irritating you when rain falls. Do you know that clay is a natural resource? In Italy, whereby they like to mold with ceramics, because the quantity of ceramics is limited. Some countries need clay. That red soil in your village is a natural resource. So if Nigeria has over 250 natural resources, and most of these natural resources are left unexplored, but because you want to wield all the power, you now practice quasi-federalism, not true federalism. Quasi-federalism, which is more, or in other terms, a unitary system, whereby you want to control everything. There is resources lying fallow there. It's just there. You have failed to harness these resources to make sure that you earn more. The reason why you are taxing is because you want to earn more. You can also earn more by harnessing these resources. But before you do that, why can't you, when you came on board in 2015 and you were saying restructuring, it's not that you were just saying it. You were wise enough to say it because you know that Nigeria needed restructuring at that point in time. So if you devolve powers, and that is what I have argued, that this local government autonomy, is the president a true federal man, or is just trying to limit the powers of the state governors? Because if he's a true federal man, then he should release some of the powers that he has at the federal level, release it to the state government too. Just as you are reducing the powers of the state, you too reduce some powers at your disposal. So when states begin to harness their resources and they begin to pay tax, they begin to pay, the different kind of levies to the federal government, the state will earn more. And when you are earning more, all these resources that are being annexed, it will create direct and indirect jobs, isn't it? Then you earn more. When you earn more, do you need to tax more?
But don't you think?
So you can. I'm sorry, man. You cannot tax an already impoverished economy. You cannot tax people that are already near destitution. You cannot tax people in a country whereby people are living in IDP camps. In a country whereby, if you look at 70,000 naira now, if you divide it by 1,700, if you look at and you bring the reality of Nigeria, which I have brought that, okay, as a modest man, maybe you have a wife, you have 2 kids minimum, and you want to have a modest meal. It is not even medium class meal. Let's say you want to buy bread, egg, and you want to make all these our grandma tea. At least you will spend like 4,000 naira. You will eat at least twice a day. That is if your kids will permit. If they don't want to eat 4 or 5 times, as kids, we always be kids. Now, that means that for feeding, you need at least, on an average, 7,000 naira. So that means that your salary can only feed you for 10 days. I'm coming, sir. Can only feed you for 10 days. And don't forget that, how will you now survive for the rest of the 20 days? Then electricity is not included. You need to transport yourself to work. At least you need to spend before you earn that 70,000 naira. So in an already impoverished economy, whereby people are already crying, and you want to tax them the more. So the thing is, you should be thinking of, see, subsidy is not a crime. You either think of subsidizing what most Nigerians are using to create SOCOM. Government, see, when you go back to the social contract theory, government wasn't created to bring at you. No. Government was created to protect life and property and to bring SOCOM. So when there's no protection of life and property and there's no SOCOM, then that is why you see the disconnect between Nigeria and Nigerians. If you see America, we say, God bless America. The reason why is because that American is benefiting something from America. His life is being protected, he is earning, and everything is going well with him. But when you say Nigeria, Nigerians will hit, or are either causing Bola Tinubu, or are either causing Akpabio and all that. Because why? They are sending prayer to mailbox. The president is buying new toys. So you see that the governance is not really existing for the people. So can anybody in the presidency please think, right? If they don't have the knowledge, there are free theses everywhere that they can use. And if they can't read, can they listen to some voice of reasoning?
No.
Which is that, please, rather than tax the people, devolve powers. Let us begin to harness this over 250 natural resources to earn. Because how long do you want to tax the people? Okay. Is it if the people that, and sorry, ma'am, you said let the poor breathe. Don't suffocate them. You are suffocating us.
Okay, now Prince Chilaka will ask you this one. While he was talking, he made mention of devolving of power. But that also made its way to the National Assembly, where people are talking about, resource control. But some of the opinion that will take us back to regional system of government, which the country is not really ready for. Do you think that also can happen? If we want to devolve...
When you say the country is not ready, who is the country?
They say we want to run a presidential system.
Is what you have,
a federal system.
What you have at the National Assembly are people who are greedy and selfish. If you check through all the laws they're promulgating and the ones they're about to promulgate, you find out that anyone that focuses on the ordinary masses is always stepped down. But anyone that focuses on them, their greed, their selfishness, moves forward. They can even approve it, first reading, second reading the same day, and the thing is signed into law. So it's like I keep saying, we need to define the kind of democracy we have in Nigeria. Until we know whether it is a democracy about the people or democracy about the elite, the political class. And also, it is high time that people begin to take back their country.
How, if I may ask you?
The way we're talking, everybody must be talking. You think it doesn't work, but it works. People need to begin to speak out. People need to begin to challenge those that are in power.
But some people have been arrested also for, talking about the government and how it's being done.
You will keep arresting. You cannot suppress the people forever.
Peaceful protesters are also still in prison for coming out.
You cannot suppress the people forever. You see, everybody's talking about Nnamdi Kanu. Whether we like it or not, his era will phase out. How are you sure the person coming will not be worse than him? How are you sure? So it is high time. For me, what I think is not about whether we're going to devolve power or not. What I think government should do is to sit down and ask the people, what do you want? Unfortunately, over the years, we've had leadership that has just foisted what they think the people want and not what the people want. You must ask.
But like Chikuma asked earlier, the World Bank evaluated the policies of this president's administration. And they told Nigerians to give them 15 years.
What gives it? What gives the World Bank the right to evaluate the policy of Nigeria? These same people that are running the World Bank from their own countries, do they not have subsidies? Why is it that when it comes to African nations, the World Bank will grow fangs, grow teeth, and all of that? Is it because they are loaning money to African leaders who are using the money to do whatever they want to do?
You also accept the fact that
taking money
from there.
From World Bank.
The point is this: the African leaders have sold their souls to World Bank.
So are we still blaming the World Bank now?
It's a problem of leadership, collapse of leadership.
So we should leave World Bank out of it.
It is our leadership.
So are we still going to blame the World Bank now for the assertion of what is happening in Nigeria? When you already said that.
Don't forget that the World Bank says that they're the ones that have told this government to do these things. So you cannot leave the World Bank out. But the thing is this: why must government always align to what the World Bank wants? Why must they? And like Dr. Omosola said, is it that those in government don't have brains to think? As a father, if you're doing something, if as a father, somebody comes to you now and tells you that television you have in your house, disconnect it. Now, you as a father, won't you reason, if I disconnect this, what kind of discomfort am I going to cause my children? So because the man has told you to disconnect it, gives you 100,000 naira, you disconnect it at the detriment of your children.
All right.
That is what our government is doing.
All right, then let's get our concluding thoughts in now. Let me start with Dr. Deji. What are your concluding thoughts? You could merge both conversations.
Well, my concluding thought is I want to see a more thinking government, and I want to see a government or people in government that when they wake up, they realize that they are there for the people. That I want them to reason like a true father and mother, because a true father, when he wakes up, he doesn't think about what he will eat. You first of all think about your children, that what are my children going to eat today? And when there is insufficient, you try to stay a bit hungry just so that your children can eat. So I want to see true leadership. And if at least there must be people first, there must be a surviving people for you to rule over them. And if you think that you want to keep people impoverished for the purpose of election, or maybe keep them poor so that you can continue to rule over them, you need to realize that you may keep them poor, fine, but then keeping them poor also have its own nemesis, which is insecurity. And at the end of the day, when you get the power, you will not be able to even enjoy that power. All right. Because that insecurity will be a nemesis upon you. So government should think and at least create some circum. See, I feel your pain, I feel your pain. Oh, give me time, give me time. See, what time? You know, time? When we, I feel your pain, I feel your pain. Our time they go. If 24 hours, as they say, is a long time in politics, like I usually say as a political scientist, then a week is a long time in governance. Right. A lot can change, and now it is going to 2 years.
All right, then. Thank you very much, Dr. Deji Omosola. Let's get your concluding thoughts on Prince.
I'm going to focus on Ipob. Because I think it is high time that the federal government applies wisdom. There's a saying, they say, if a child is pointing somewhere, if the mother is not there, the father is there. If this government is sincere about solving insecurity, not only in the Southeast, in the entire country, they must sit down to reason with the people. If from the Southeast, what we're hearing is that Nnamdi Kanu has a solution to the insecurity in the Southeast, why is the government not taking advantage of that? Why don't the government release him? And let us see if this unknown gunman will continue to operate. Let us see if Simon Ekpa will be in Finland and continue to declare sit at home. Let us see if the so-called ESN will continue to kill people. But I say this to those who are promoting Ipob and all groups. whatever you're doing that is affecting those you say you're fighting for, knowing that you're not fighting for them, you are their enemy.
All right, then. Thank you very much, Prince Francis Chilaka, a political analyst, and Dr. DG Omoshola, a doctor of political science. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for your time. We'll take a break now. And, well, wrapping up VOP this morning, on behalf of the backroom staff and my colleagues, Chukuma Okoro, Fina Okechukwu, I am Moses Humphrey.
And before we leave the studio, is a wonderful one. Today is our producer's birthday. Promise. Amy's birthday is today.
Oh, amazing.
So,
amazing.
Yeah, she's the one that produced
All right,
today.
so, okay. Happy birthday,
Happy
Promise.
birthday, promise.
Happy birthday, promise.
Well, stick around. Stick around.
I'm waiting for the
More to
cake.
come.
Yeah, she'll bring it.
Where is the party
Bring
at?
the cake.
Well, at 9 o'clock, newspaper review comes on the air. All right, so stay tuned.